Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Ask Mo. My name is Mo and I'm a lawyer licensed to practice law in the province of Ontario and also in Nigeria. I create content for internationally trained lawyers who are looking to requalify as lawyers in Canada. I also create content for graduate students and for people who are looking to settle down and succeed in Canada. So today I have with me a very special guest, Mrs. Oduwole. And Mrs. Oduwole has been very instrumental in my growth as a person and also in my growth as a lawyer as well. Mrs. Oduwole used to be a lecturer at the Nigerian Law School, I think the Abuja campus, and then she relocated to Canada with her family. She's also an internationally trained lawyer, and she is licensed to practice law in Nigeria, and she's also licensed to practice law in Ontario, and she is a partner at Topmarké. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, at Topmarké, and we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about how you can scale through in a foreign land as an internationally trained lawyer. And the reason for this topic is because I had an internationally trained lawyer just reach out to me saying that, see, I haven't gotten, an articling position. I have tried, I have applied, everywhere, and I couldn't get an articling position. And I'm sure Mr. Oduwole will be able to talk about that, the struggles internationally trained lawyers face in applying for articling positions. We know how difficult it can be, and person was saying that I couldn't find one, and now I'm called as a lawyer in Ontario and I can't get a job because most people keep telling me that I don't have any Canadian experience. And we're just going to talk about that because the person was asking me for advice, what do I think about him starting his own law firm, or do I have any tips about that? And unfortunately, I couldn't give any tips because I didn't start my own law firm. I've never had my own law firm. But here's Ms. Oduwole, who came in as an internationally trained lawyer, and she has a very successful career. And now she's a partner, which is not an easy thing, to come by here in Ontario, especially as an internationally trained lawyer. So, Ms. Oduwole, I just want you to, first of all, introduce yourself, a little bit. Let's get to hear from you. And also tell us about your journey as an internationally trained lawyer.
Okay, thanks, Mo. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. It's always exciting to read and watch your posts. I'm always enjoying it. As Moyo said, my name is Oduwole. I came to Canada in 2010. I've practiced extensively in Nigeria, and the last position I held before coming was a lecturer at the Nigerian Law School, Abuja campus. And I'm married with 3 children, and I'm a lover of God. I'm a Christian, and I'm passionate about my faith. And that's been the most important thing and direction and force in my life. And I have a passion in helping people, especially mentoring young youths, children. I'm very active in my children's school. I go do trainings. I follow them on an excursion. I teach in the children's church in my school. I just love pouring into young people, and I learned so much from them as well. And that is one of the secrets of my success as well. I came to Canada in 2010, and the reason why my family came to Canada was because I wanted to pursue my PhD. That was actually the main reason why we came to Canada. But along the way, I digressed 10 years going now, and I'm still going to go back to the PhD.
So PhD yet?
Yeah, I've not done it yet, but I'm still going to. I'm gradually going back to my teaching now. So when I came in 2010, like I said, the idea was to do my PhD. I actually applied before coming. I got an admission, but was as an international student because our PR application was faster than we thought. We started the application close to the end of 2009. And by 2010, we got PR. And people we knew took 3-4 years. Ours was like under a year, So when I came, they said, there was no more slot for PR, that it was only international. So I just thought, what will I do? So I applied to U of T and New York for master's again. And by then, I already have a master's from Unilag, and I was currently taking another master's in University of London on education and social research. So I just thought,
masters.
Yes. So I just thought, let me try. At least I would understand the legal scope in Canada. So I applied for master's. Fortunately, I got admission to U of T. So I used that time to also do my licensing process. So the 1 year I did my master's, I completed my licensing process at the same time. So it was in the course of my master's that, especially admin law, I love admin law. That was what caused me to digress to practice. You know, it's really unique, dynamic to Canada, you know, all the rules of natural justice when it comes to administrative panel, common law rules was not play. You know, the courts came in with their own rules, you know, patently reasonable, unreasonable. Now we have Vavilov, you know, I love that discourse, and that just made me digress. Okay, let me start practice and see what it looked like. So that was how I started. And one thing when you're going to start practice, I started my own practice, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. Immediately I qualified, I started my practice. Like I said earlier, I'm a person of faith. I believe I had the leading to start my practice. I didn't want to, I actually wanted to work. But I believe that was what God wanted me to do. My advice to internationally trained lawyers, if they want to start their practice, is not what I would advise people to do. But however, if you want to do it, ensure you have experience. So experience, particularly in a work environment, because every country have dynamics in the work environment, you know. Like when I came, that was when I learned the pitch of my voice. I had to use a room, you know. I'm very, you know, in law school, people know me, I don't need microphone. So I had to learn to tone my voice as if I'm attacking people, you know, my body language, I have to learn, you know, U of T taught me that when you're answering question in class, you have to learn to modulate your body language, you know. So those are things, and it's very good by the time you start to practice, those are skills you need to learn. And another important thing is just that if you have opportunity, even if it's not a paid employment, for instance, while you're going through the licensing process, if you have opportunity to volunteer somewhere, even if it's not paid. For instance, TPM, my company, we're doing a volunteering session where we're having volunteers come in, mentoring program. We take volunteers. It's just that we have applications already for the end of the year. So we've taken in volunteers for 3 months. You know, so when we have 3 months, at least you'll be able to put that on your resume and you have experience of what it's like to work in Canada. So that is all a person need. So if you're going to start, it's good you have an experience. My second family law case I had, it was a legal aid file. And I would never forget when I got to court, after several times, I was really frustrated because my client was not following the instructions, and Justice Curtis just looked at me and she saw that I was struggling. And she just said, Mrs. Oduwole, you have no business being a third counsel on this file. But because I just started my practice, any file that comes in, I take.
So you
I did.
Every area of law?
When I started, anything that comes through my door, so that I pay my bills, you know, so that I pay my bills, anything that comes in, you know. So if I'd worked in a law environment, I would have had a sense, you know, there's some unwritten skills. You would have seen how seniors vet file. Now, I don't take all files that come my way, no matter how much you're paid. I choose my clients. You know, I need to see that this is somebody that I can work with. It's very important. People trust you, understand you, you know, you'll be able to help them. Because a lot of times, our work is beyond legal work, especially in immigration. Sometimes you're a counselor, you're a brother, you're a sister. You know, family law, I've had people call me 12 midnight. He did not return the key, you know. And when I started, I was using my cell phone. I could not afford the landline. You know, I had all sorts of drama. But if you decide you want to start on your own as well, it's okay. I did, and it worked for me. But one thing you need to do is you need to surround yourself with mentors.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Very, very, very important. And you need to be studious. So what I did when I first started was, whether I had court case, whether I had file or not, I woke up in the morning and I went to the office. For my first 1 month or so, I didn't have any file, but I would just read my NCA materials. I would look on Canly, LexisNexis. I was just reading. And when I close, I go back home. I just make sure I go to work every day. And another thing was, fortunately for me, I was at 45 Shepherd by the court. So I go to the court as well. So I have days I go to family court. I have days I go to small claims court. I have days I go to federal court. Unfortunately, I had good mentors and I follow them to court as well. I shadow them. They allow me view their file. So that also made a difference for me. You know, when I go to court, I actually had the jotter. I still have the jotter I used in my first year. Things I like, I hear people say, I note it. Mistakes I just say, do not do this. I put mark, run away from this. When I heard judges say this, and it really helped me. So because this is a new jurisdiction for me, I will never forget first day at the federal court. It was before Justice Barnes. I've practiced for over 10 years before coming here, but I had a lot of butterflies in my tummy. But the good thing is that butter, you just don't want to know. But I've been to federal court a number of times to view, but it was still not the same. I was a big jittery. The only thing I just told Justice Barnes that this is my first time, at the federal court. So please bear with me, because I was using your honor, I was just changing the nomenclature. I just had to take a pause. And I told you, Joy, said, we've all been there, Mr. Oduwole, take your time. So it's like once I poured out my vulnerability, I had a good judge and it was just easy for me to move on. So I know that whatever mistakes I make, he would understand. So we should not fail. So the most important thing, like I said, mentorship, hard work.
Yes.
And we should not fail. We should be bold. Yeah. One thing I want internationally trained lawyers to know is that whatever skill sets we have would always make room for us. It's just having a footing is all we need. Those skill sets would make a difference. Once you come in, people that have been working for 3 years, by the time you join them, you excel them. They would come to you and ask you questions. And that is what I've learned. People that I was going to court to shadow to find out what they are, now they call me to ask me, because those skill sets you have, they are yours. Hard work, your tenacity to finding solutions, finding informations, it would always work out for you. So that was why I started with my practice. Later, I joined into a partnership, and after 3 or 4 years, I'm a managing partner now. Wow. There is a lot of work because I really don't like admin law work. I just love being a lawyer, and that was one of the main reasons that attracted me to partnership. Just let me do my law work, all this maintaining books, HR, and I don't like it. But now I'm faced with it, and I'm learning, I'm coping. And it's exciting for me being in that position. So that's just what I want to advise people to know, that it's very important for them when it comes to, because our situations are different. So we should just look at the circumstances. But if I had the opportunity, I would rather have maybe article. But since we know article is very difficult, like I said, it's very important. Just find a volunteering position, even if it's unpaid, so that one can gain the experience. And if you want to start your practice, and there are different ways of starting practice, right? I didn't know then. If I'd known, I would not even have gone full-fledged on my own. So when I started practicing, another thing that helped me, was the Law Society has a referral program. You pay for it. Yeah. So I did. Then there's another one, Justice Net. So for instance, people that don't qualify for legal aid, but they don't earn so much. There's this Justice Net, so you charge them a lower fee, not up to your own professional fee usually. When I started, I was charging, I think, $250 per hour. For Justice Net clients, I charged them $150 or something like that, So I learned a lot from that. So when clients call me, from Law Society referral, I take the information, so I send all the intake forms so that I can do conflict check and all that. So I usually make sure I give them 24 hours notice. So in that 24 hours, I ask them questions what they want. So I don't know most of these things. So I go do research. And the first office I was shared office space, with different lawyers. So I go to the lawyers, I ask them questions, and they were very nice. So one day, one of them just said, Kemi, you come here to ask questions as if you don't have a lot today. I said, I really don't have a lot today. He said he has some research he wants me to do for him. I said, fine, I'll be willing to do it. I did the research for him. He was happy. He said, I have some application, federal court apply. Have you done any? I said, no, just give me precedent and I will do it. And that was how I started. So I would do precedents, I'll do their work for them, do research, and they paid me. So that was how so if I'd known, so there's some times that you could join some firm, maybe as an independent contractor, they pay you for what you do, so that you don't bear the burden of having an office of your own. Then there are a lot of shared office spaces, like I said, so you may not pay too much, 500. You can share space in an established law firm, go to a law firm, discuss with a partner, okay, I want to learn from you, I want to shadow you. If I bring my file in, this is the percentage if I have to. So we really have to be very systematic with it. So there are a lot of options open that you don't have to go full-fledged on your own in setting up a practice. So those are options that are open to internationally trained lawyers as well.
Wow, like so much information. I didn't even know about all these things. You know, when you talk about starting your own practice, it's just, you know, having your office and starting your practice. I didn't know about all these other options, which are very good options as well. Very good options as well. And there was something you mentioned about, you know, the power of reaching out, the power of networking, the power of asking people when you don't know, you know, because I remember when I was articling as well, I didn't know anything. When I started articling, I was clueless, but I would always ask questions. I never kept quiet. Please, how do I draft this? What am I doing wrong? How am I doing this thing? You know, how can I improve or do better? And I remember I had to argue emotion as an articling student. I had no clue. My office just said, you know what, we trust you, we believe in you.
Go and do it.
Go and do it. I was like, what? No. Weeks before I went to court, I was checking where is the lawyer for the plaintiff supposed to stand? Where is the lawyer for the defendant supposed to stand? How do I address this judge? Is it your honor or like, what do I say? How do I argue emotion? What do I do? How do I bow? I was taking notes. So, you know, when you mention just going to court, some people think it's a waste of time. It is not a waste of time. You have to learn because, you know, you don't know these things. You're coming from a new or from a different jurisdiction into a new jurisdiction. So I really agree with you, you know, the power of reaching out, networking and learning, studying, because as a lawyer, studying never ends. You just keep reading. You have to keep yourself updated. What is going on? You know, you don't want to you don't want to find out that the you know, limitation period has, you know, been extended.
I know.
And you didn't know about it. It's just it's very
and another thing with mentoring is that we need to be bold. There are quite a number of mentors I have today. Like, I was at federal court one day and there was a lawyer arguing. And I walked up to him. Oh, I'm an internationally trained lawyer. You said this there. So how is that? Can I have a coffee with you? At the family court too. So we should not, they say no and you walk away. You should be bold, you know. So I walk up to people. That was what I did in my office building too. I knock on the door. Hi, I'm Kemi. I'm just down the road. I'm from Nigeria. I don't shy to do that, you know, because and it's when you have a mentor, it's your duty to ensure that relationship works. Because these people, you know, we are very busy as lawyers. So it's not that they don't want to help, but there is a lot. So it will be your duty to set up a date if it's once a month. And it will be a waste of time of your mentor if you are meeting and you have no questions. There's nothing for him to offer. You know, so you should be ready. What questions do you have? What specifically do you want to gain from this mentor? And if you have a file at hand, you want the mentor to guide you, do your homework. Oh, this is what I've found out. I don't know. You know, mentors, they will share precedents with you, share experiences with you, but the onus is on the internationally trained, the mentee, to make sure that the relationship works. And another thing is, like I said, our skill sets would always work for us. I remember the first time I was in refugee, because I do a lot of refugee, and I will never forget that in my life. So there was an interpreter, right? And it was my local dialect, which is Yoruba.
Oh, okay.
So it's usually the member that asks the question first before counsel. The first 3 times I asked questions, I actually asked the question in Yoruba instead of English. You know, I was able to retrace my step and I got comfortable. So we should not be afraid to step out, you know. If you make a mistake, you will never make that error again. And believe you me, the people on the other side, the judges, they understand. They've been there, you know. So, and I told the judge too that, well, I think I'm conversant with my native language. I need to have it in my head. I have to speak English. And before everybody just laughed and my jitters went down and so we should not be afraid. Just step out. And if you make a mistake one day, you never make that mistake again. So it's good to know that, yeah.
So just talking about ways to reach out and network, you've mentioned putting yourself out there, stepping out of your comfort zone. You know, you said you knocked on people's door, you know, walked up to lawyers. Are there any other ways, especially now that there's COVID and everything is happening online, are there any other ways you can advise people to connect with other lawyers, you know, maybe on LinkedIn or on other platforms as well?
Yeah. LinkedIn is a good tool. LinkedIn is a good tool. Then forum like there are lots of internationally trained lawyer forum. I know Nigerians have one, Niger Lawyer in Canada, Global Lawyers. For instance, there's a Canadian Association of Nigerian Lawyers. They're trying to do a mentorship. And then my firm, TPM2, we're having a mentoring session, which will soon start. Oduwole, I told you we have a plan that we are now taking internationally trained. So we're going to start formally, where we're going to have an online session every week for mentoring. So we have seniors that people can link with. So it's very important people identify with associations, the people. Don't be afraid. On LinkedIn, I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I currently mentor them. And there are lots of, the Law Society has a mentorship program. There's CABLE, Canadian Association of Black Lawyers. They have a mentorship program, the legal aid itself has a mentorship program. So whatever area of law you are in, there are usually associations. For instance, if you're a refugee lawyer, there's Canadian Association of Refugee Lawyer, CAL, there's Refugee Lawyers Association. They have a list serve. And that is one area I've also benefited, the list serve. The family law has Canadian Bar Association, immigration section, this section they have. So if I don't know anything, I go onto the list serve. I list serve members. I have this, what should I do? People have been awesome. They've sent me precedents, and I've sent to people too. So so if people help me, I just say, thank you so much for your help. I'm just a new call. Can I meet you for coffee at your convenience? And, so there are a lot of ways you reach out to people. There's Sisters as Law as well. Association for Black female lawyers. So there are a lot of, so you just need to find out resources. There is a lot of help for internationally trained lawyers, ethnic association that people can, we just need to find out those information and take steps to leverage on them. So those are some of the steps.
Thank you very much, Ms. Oduwole, for sharing. In fact, half of the things you just said, I didn't know about them. So I'm also learning as well. Thank you for sharing, these information with us. What areas of law do you practice?
Okay, I used to practice immigration, family law, consent and capacity. And I did some civil litigation. I told you I started broad. So now I'm basically doing immigration, workplace investigation. I do mental health law as well. So that is I'm really narrowing my scope and trainings. Like I told you, I have passion. So that's part of the new mentorship program we're doing is under a training umbrella. So I do training, workplace investigation, immigration and mental health law.
That's interesting. Workplace training. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, yes.
Very few things. So I put up on my social media platform, and I asked some people to send in some questions, and we just take one question because we're running out of time. The person was asking about the what area of law do you find intersects with immigration law?
Okay, there are quite a number of areas. One, business law intersects with immigration law, especially people that want to immigrate through investments.
Oh, okay.
So business law does. Family law too does a lot. So a lot of times, especially we have people who are maybe the mother is a temporary resident or a student, the father is a Canadian citizen, they want to deport one person who takes the child, is in court. So in that way, we have immigration intersecting with family law. We have people who have come to Canada and maybe one of the parents came to Canada with a child and the authorities will want consent from the other father. If you don't have the consent written, you could be charged for abducting the child.
Oh.
Yeah, so you need to apply for custody. So that is how family law. But the most prevalent or common is immigration and criminal. Is very, very common. So where you have a temporary resident status, or there are some people, maybe as a student now, you already have the ITL and you are now charged for drinking under influence. So admissibility is a serious issue when it comes to eligibility of a foreign national to become a permanent resident. So if you are even applying for a visitor's visa, admissibility, they have to check. Have you been charged for a crime? Have you committed a crime against humanity? Have you been involved in a gang? Or are you coming from a country where the government officials or the police breach human rights violations? So even those inside Canada as well. So those, it's criminal law is very, and there is a huge test. So sometimes even when you are in, you need not be charged. Because the threshold when it comes to admissibility issue and criminal law depends on what the test, what the case is. So even if you are suspected to have committed a crime, you know, even if you are not charged. So those are things. So criminal law is the most prevalent when it comes to immigration. So those are the areas that come to my family law, business, and criminal law, particularly intersect with immigration.
Wow, that's very interesting. I never even thought, obviously, I knew sometimes criminal law will, intersect family law. I never thought about business law. That's really an interesting.
And mental health law too, cool. Because we have people who are in, Canada immigration is so huge, is huge. I'm still learning every day. We have people who are here. For instance, I've had clients who are students and they had, meltdown, living home for a long time. And some maybe they don't apply for their postgraduate work permit when they are supposed to. Some they don't apply when they are supposed to do restoration. Some they left school, more than the 150 days they're allowed to leave school and all that. And that means they have to go back. So in these cases where we see that there are psychological issues involved, we have the people go see maybe psychotherapy, psychologists, and we'll be able to make a compassionate application for restoration of their status. So in that respect, mental health too comes in when it comes to processing immigration applications. So
immigration law is broad.
Yeah,
very broad. Wow, that's interesting. I honestly, left to me, I will continue this conversation. I still have so many questions, but we have to wrap this up. And thank you so much for recording this video with me, Ms. Oduwole. I know a lot of my viewers are still in their countries and they're interested in immigrating to Canada. So if you require immigration services, and you like a lawyer to help you with your, to apply for your PR and any other immigration service that you need, Ms. Oduwole is here for you. Topmarké is here for you. So if you're interested in, using their services, just send me an email or reach out to me and I will gladly refer you to Ms. Oduwole's law firm. And also, if you require any of Ms. Oduwole, what other areas of law does your law firm?
Full-fledged law firm.
Okay.
Full-fledged law firm.
Which is perfect.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. And yes, that completes the end of this video. Thank you for watching this video. If you're yet to subscribe, kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell so that you will get updates when I post new videos. Also like and share this video if you found it very helpful. I will see you guys in the next episode of Ask Mo. Thank you very much and bye-bye.